It's a tale as old as time, good versus evil. Only in this case, it was just born yesterday.
This is a work of fiction brought to you by people who've watched way too many movies while drinking way too many craft beers.
Hi there, I'm Harrison, and with me is John. Two guys with too much time, too much beer, and just the right amount of bad ideas.
That's right. Together, we're basically the podcast version of an unfinished screenplay.
Ooh.
Lots of potential, no budget, and tonight we're still sipping on Sierra Nevada's Celebration from last week, but for us, 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And a reminder about how we ended up with Born Yesterday from Lagunitas last week. So that's the feature tonight. We dig through these submissions so you don't have to. And if this beer gets weird, well, that's on you. So thanks for that.
That's right. Blame the person that checked it in. We're going to learn about it tonight. And also, as a quick reminder from me, this podcast runs on good vibes, not ads. No mattress subscriptions, no vitamins for your dog's chakras, just beard, questionable movies, and bad banter.
Ooh. But if you really want to help us out, subscribe, follow, and send your favorite potential movie beers to me on social media at Beer Me That Movie. Don't worry, I'll be one scrolling through all of this while John just, cracks open another beer.
True story, unfortunately. Now, let's see what cinematic masterpiece we can wring out of Born Yesterday. This is a feature presentation, so buckle up, folks. Lights, camera. Let's make some weird magic.
Weird magic. My favorite kind of magic.
It comes from the sexy nuns.
That's right. Big fan of those sexy nuns. They've done a lot for us, as I hopefully you guys know by now. But if not, check out Banana Wheel. I'll say no more, because tonight's not about banana whales. It's about something, the antithesis maybe of banana whales. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Well, or maybe a little bit of banana whale in both these characters. Some of these characters tonight. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Yeah, that's true. Let's start the feature film.
And now get ready for our feature film.
Okay, so for the last couple of feature films, we've tried to write script them out into 3 different acts.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to start with Act 1, which sometimes requires we explain a little bit about the main character.
Yes.
In this movie, I think we're going to use almost every character from the beer's check-in.
That's right.
So we're going to have, I think, maybe at least 2 characters and maybe a couple extras, but I think the setting is equally important, Harrison. So it's called Born Yesterday in the Fast Five. We talked a little bit about how we could turn that into the literal interpretation of a human born yesterday.
Yes.
Set the scene for me, Harrison. Paint a picture with your words and beard.
As I have to do. That's just part of the beard package. So, okay. I think for this one, we did not cover this with a setting in the Fast Five, but I think the setting's gonna be pretty important for this movie. So we're gonna go somewhere we haven't gone yet in Beer with That Movie, to beautiful, sunny, flat, corn-filled Oklahoma.
Love it. Oklahoma is a suburb.
Oklahoma, right? A suburb of the rest of the world. So I won't sing about it. Maybe I will. But we're going to throw ourselves right in Tornado Alley, probably during a tornado. I mean, definitely during a tornado. So this movie's going to come out hot, come out flying fast with some wild stuff in this Oklahoma hospital. And we kind of covered this next little bit in the Fast Five, but it's kind of going to follow primarily a nurse. And we're going to name this nurse Bailey after one of the people in this check-in, that the Born Yesterday check-in. So batter up, Bailey. You're right here in the driver's seat.
Congrats, you're a nurse.
That's right, a NICU nurse or a maternity ward nurse. And I think this movie's going to start with her kind of setting up a makeshift kind of maternity ward in the basement in the chapel of this hospital. And they have to do this from time to time when a tornado's on the way. Can't have people up on the 17th floor of a hospital when that may get carried away by this tornado. So they've got plans for it. It happens. Still stressful though. And I think we jump right into the action of the tornado kind of shaking this building as it passes nearby. We get to see Bailey doing some save the cat stuff, catching a IV bag before it falls down, and a computer machine thing before it, rolls off its thing and hits a nurse. She's protecting the babies. Hospital shaking, lights are flickering, tornado noises. People are freaking out, but it passes and it's all good. And got all these babies and they're safe, and time to roll them out of this makeshift NICU and get them back upstairs. So we kind of get to see Bailey right away in action, being a superhero nurse lady.
Love it.
Saving all these babies, just doing what needs to be done in sunny cornfield Oklahoma when a tornado comes a knocking. So we're gonna jump right into action here,
right in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Tornado preparation. Maybe we don't even see it, but we hear it, and we see the effects of it in the hospital with the lights dimming. Nurse Bailey taking her her newborn babies that she's in charge of, not her babies, but it's her job, down to the basement to set up the tornado safe.
I like that. And she's down there, right? And she's and again, I think it's a good thing to call out. She is there. She's in action, saving people, saving babies, but also a little scared. And maybe there's a moment where she grabs her necklace, holds it close, and just as she does that, the kind of roaring, rushing sound of the tornado outside starts to lessen, and it's missed the hospital almost as if by a miracle. Like things are all good, so they can
let's put like a little chapel down there too. Maybe it's not staffed all the time, it's just a tornado chapel.
Exactly.
But if the tornado is going to be around for a while, you want something like that down there. And this is a moment for us to learn that Bailey's pretty, like, it's Oklahoma, she's religious. She's got her cross necklace that she clutches. I like that. And like, as that happens, this is all like probably during the opening credits or right after they're done rolling.
Yeah, we're going to jump in right away. It's going to be an awesome first 5 minutes of this movie. It'll be wild.
And then so after that subsides, she clutches her necklace. The tornado effects start dwindling down. Now we're getting back to kind of a regular Tuesday in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Moving the babies back up to the maternity ward. There's other nurses around. There's hospital staff. We're just getting things back to normal. And Bailey has a new, is it called a charge when a nurse has to take care of someone? She has a new new baby.
New baby.
There's a new baby that was admitted earlier. We didn't admitted.
Just showed up, walked in himself.
That's how babies are born. They just find a hospital.
Take me in, I'm a baby. I like this. New baby. Pressure dropped during the tornado. Baby got punched out.
The baby did get brought into the hospital. There was an accident in the tornado.
Okay, there we go.
And the paramedics brought this baby in. The parents didn't make it. Didn't make it. But we did get a new baby assigned to us. Sometimes it does happen.
Sometimes it does happen like that. They show up. Okay, I like that. Tragedy for the family. The baby's alive, and because of this, Bailey immediately takes an interest in this baby, maybe a little bit more than she professionally should at the start. But the baby is a little peculiar, a little bit different, and maybe she kind of shrugs that off at first, like, it's the trauma of their parents the baby's parents dying. It's me in my own head. I'm making this up. Maybe I'm just nauseous because I also just went through a tornado. It's been a rough day. I don't sleep. I'm a nurse. I'm working triples all the time, like Brian.
Yeah.
And I tries to shrug off this unsettling feeling she gets when she goes up to the crib of this baby. That's again like a nursery of a bunch of other babies. That's the image I have here of this is again Bailey's job.
Like in a diaper commercial.
Exactly.
There's like 9-12 babies in there.
Right. Like from movies in the 50s where the man's outside smoking, drinking bourbon, looking through the window at all the babies. Hammered.
Which one's mine? It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Actually, honey, let's just move to South Carolina. Let's get out of here. And I like that. So like Bailey goes to meet. So like I don't know. I'm going to be making a lot of this up. I've never been a maternity ward nurse, but
Right.
I assume it's kind of like, you know, check their vitals, make sure they have some food,
change some
Right, don't
diapers,
stay here
put
for
some
too
hats
long,
on,
but-
swaddle some babies.
Yep, keep the boys in blue, the girls in pink.
Right.
This does happen in the 90s. But as she does approach this new baby, and look at the clipboard hanging off of his crib, you see this new baby was actually just bright. It's like a John Doe. So they've named him.
That's right.
Rhett,
There we go.
who is
Ding,
the
ding.
person that checked this beer in. So
There you are, Rhett. You're a baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And as she goes to approach him, she feels like unease, like to your point,
Yeah.
it's the after effects of the tornado. And she goes to pick up the clipboard and like the lights roll out again and it gets dark. And it's
That's
kind of
good.
foretelling, but also she's like, oh,
Yeah, tornado
the tornado. Exactly.
Just tornado stuff. Just another Tuesday in Oklahoma with questionable electricity in this hospital. Okay, yeah. So we're setting this
She goes
up.
to eat lunch, or whatever lunch is for nurses.
Yeah.
And like can't even finish it. You see her running off to the bathroom immediately after taking a bite of her sandwich and you just hear her throwing it up.
Oh wow.
Rough day
Yeah.
for Bailey.
Right, exactly. But she's got to power through. She's a nurse. Babies need help, and that sort of thing. Now, I think in the Fast Five we kind of talked about how this baby, the way you feel around it changes. It seems to change.
Yeah, so I think the way we would do this in the movie is Bailey eats her lunch, throws up, not feeling good.
Right.
It's been a long shift already, double something or other. And she's like, look, I got to go home and get some rest. So we see Bailey leave the hospital, get into her Pontiac Sunfire, very nurse car, I think. I don't know. Drive home.
Yep.
And then she just you see her walk in the door, and then it's like time lapse of the sun going down and coming back up, and it's a new day. Bailey's got her coffee, her water jug, and her Red Bull with her, getting ready to go into work
And have a heart attack.
for her next shift. She looks at lunch. She takes a lunch. Maybe she's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling better." Goes in to work to go meet this baby. And it's different. She was kind of nervous. Like maybe she even had like a nightmare about her first interaction with the baby, and she slept a little uneasy. But when she sees the baby today, maybe it's even transitioned where like it's not. If something happened and now it's in like one of the NICU boxes.
Yeah.
But she goes to see it in this box, and like she feels warmth and joy. She almost like you see her like shed a tear.
Right. Feels amazingly happy. Completely different than Aja experience. Maybe the lights are a little bit brighter. She smells someone cooking cookies somewhere and then comments on that. Is someone making pies? Someone making cookies? It smells like my grandma's cookies in here.
It smells
It's
amazing. The nurse is like, this new baby's just everybody's been coming to see him. He's so cute.
Right, exactly. What's the story again? Brought in last night, no parents, something happened in the tornado. Oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot. Okay, well, I'm and this kind of continues a little bit, and maybe people are visiting. Maybe she walks out of the nursery and there's two people in wheelchairs coming up from another part of the hospital, just saying like, I don't know really why I'm here either. I just kind of woke up today and felt like coming up to see the new babies, and I feel great. I feel like I could punch a horse in the face or whatever people say, and live to tell the tale.
It's Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma.
Right. A lot of horse references, a lot of punching. But anyway, so this baby now is kind of attracting a little bit of a crowd, and everyone can't really explain why they're there, other than they feel great and happy, and we're drawn to this baby. And our nurse hero here is just kind of again happy to be basking in the moment and not be running out to relieve herself of her lunch.
True. The other babies in the
Right.
that aren't in the NICU box are like, they're all happy. Everybody's doing
No
good.
one's crying.
Like, I haven't had a shift this good since I was a resident.
Right. I'll take it. But you don't, you're right. You don't take those things for granted. You're just happy about it. Don't ask too many questions. And it's a good shift. And then what, John?
So
kind of ping-ponging around a little.
Yeah, I think through the magic of good cinematography, we would be able to kind of fast forward through a couple of these interactions. She goes home, she feels great, sleeps amazingly, comes back to work the next day, and total different story. The baby's gotten better. He's in the maternity ward with the other infants. Everybody's crying. Maybe all the babies are crying, but Rhett is not crying. He's just sitting there. He's almost grinning. But it's just total chaos. Like, two of the nurses called out. The microwave's broken. The elevator stops on the 3rd floor, so you got to take the stairs all the way up to work. Wow. It's like, my God, yesterday was so good.
I like that about the elevator. Okay. Very different day this day. And maybe at this point, Bailey picks up the phone and calls her sister, Trisha, who she shares everything with.
Trisha, also not featured in this check-in, but one of the friends of Bailey this check-in.
We got a lot of names to work with, so we're making them work. It's very clear from the first few moments of their phone call, they confide each other a lot, very close, and just kind of, it's Bailey sharing like, oh my gosh, I hope you're doing okay. I want to hear, maybe just like a voicemail to her sister or something. Hope you're doing well. I want to hear how everything's going on your end of things with that crazy run air last night. But we have had a heck of a time here with one of the craziest, wildest baby experiences I've had in my 20 years being a nurse. Call me back when I tell you all about it.
Yeah, I like that. The voice. Let's not introduce the sister yet, but the voicemail. We know the sister exists.
Exactly. So just call us, leave some voicemail there. It's that disturbing that she feels like she needs to tell her sister about it and wants her feedback about it when she can give it. So so now baby,
and then even like maybe right after that, there's things happening in the film, but like then you hear another voicemail and it's like, oh my God, I'd love to hear your story. Actually, today was great. I'm sorry I missed you, but all these cool things are happening.
Yep. I like this.
And so eventually through this, now we've gotten a good lay of the ground on what's happening. Bailey's going through a certain kind of heaven and hell every other day. And then Bailey shows up to work. You're not sure which day you're going to get, which baby, evil or bad, like which version you're going to get. And she gets to work and there's like police outside and she's got to sign in to get inside and everything. And she's, oh my God, what's going on? Like, one of the hospital administrators down there, and she's like, look, we had an accident on the shift this morning. One of the maternity nurses,
the overnight nurse,
Dottie had an accident working overnight, and she fell onto one of the surgical trays and landed on a scalpel, and it seems like she's landed on it 27 times. The police are saying she must have kept bouncing. They haven't really figured it out yet, but anyways, sorry, I've revealed too much. She the administrator's like trying to dial it back. Like, anyway, so we lost Dottie. I'm glad you're here. Are you going to be able to work your shift? We really need you. Yeah, of course, but it's like, God, can this get any worse?
Right. What the heck? And maybe even she, Bailey, goes and is like, oh my God, Dottie, like she taught me when I first worked here. I was her shadow or whatever. Like, she's been working the graveyard shift for years. She's a legend. This is a horrible loss. Like, what do the police know? 27 times. That sounds crazy. And, maybe the admin's like, yeah, they're trying to look at the tapes. I guess they've been having some issues. And Bailey, being the resourceful, caring, kind of overachiever that she is like, I got to figure this out, and grabs a security guard she knows well from working there. Ned. I was going to say Nick. Ned. Perfect. and like, what do you got? Show me what happened on the floor last night. And Ned's like, oh yeah, threw a chewing a ham sandwich as I ain't gonna believe this.
You don't want to see
I'll
it.
show you what I got, but
I've already uploaded it to 3 different subreddits.
Come on, karma points. And so Ned rolls the tape back, and you see kind of Dottie walking out of the maternity ward, out of the nursery, with a confused kind of look on her face. Maybe clearly thinking about something. Maybe she saw something she couldn't understand, and then walks into the hallway, and then all of a sudden kind of like freezes and like starts to writhe a little bit, and then reaches out for the tray with the scalpel that's just in the hallway for some reason. Someone's getting fired.
Yeah.
And then like it looks like she starts kind of stabbing herself, but maybe the tape like has some distortion. It's like hard to see that.
Yep.
And they play it back a couple of times. What the heck? This is ridiculous. And maybe on the third time, playing it back, trying to see like what's happening. She's stabbing herself. What's going on? I can't see. In the corner, you can see through the nursery door into where all the little cribs are, and that middle crib where Rhett is, it maybe looks like it's moving, shaking, vibrating, doing something. Again, it's in the corner of the film. It's inconclusive, but Bailey clues in on that of like, what's going on up here? Is that the tape doing that? And Ned's like, no tape. No, that's not the tape. It's all digital. No tapes here.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this distortion is, but if whatever you're seeing is what happened, there's nothing on this camera that would distort this. That looks like something's going on with that crib too, but I'm more worried about Dottie and this weird thing that happened. I'm going to lose my job. These cameras are supposed to be maintained. Maybe I didn't do my checks last week like I should have.
Something might have happened with the tornado. Could be the Ethernet. I went up there and I turned it off and I turned it back on again. So it should be good now.
But so this thing, again, inconclusive, creepy, and something maybe is going on with Rhett's little crib. So Bailey sees all this and is like kind of freaking out a little bit, but again, trying to stay cool, stay collected. She's got a job to do, a bunch of babies she's in charge of, and now again hit with the sadness of losing Dottie to this creepy incident, this wild incident. But maybe she's cluing into like some more stuff, like that something dark and bad is going on here. Maybe she's starting to accept that Bailey is that like maybe she's not pushing down these feelings she's having where something's wrong. She's like, I should probably start listening to this. Maybe my body's trying to tell me something. Maybe I'm cluing into something greater here. And of course, is going to speak to her, try to talk to her sister about it.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect time now to introduce what is hopefully our biggest reveal.
It's certainly the first act twist in the history of movies.
Sure. So Bailey texts her sister 911. I'm calling you. Waits a couple seconds. Like she's not.
Yep.
She goes to work, does her rounds, checks on. Okay, all the babies are alive. I need a minute. I need to get a hold of my sister. And she calls, and this time Trisha answers. And when we see Trisha answer, I want to explain kind of what you see as you're watching this movie, and I'll let Harrison kind of talk about what happens. But we see Trisha answer the phone and get like a side by side.
Yes.
And for the first time, we see now Bailey in her nurse uniform making a phone call, and Trisha answers the phone, who is Bailey's twin sister that also works in a maternity ward across town in the other big hospital.
Twins, baby. It's twins. Real twins, not Arnold and Danny DeVito, but actual identical twins.
My name is Julius, and I'm your twin brother.
Oh, obviously. The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking into a mirror.
We are not identical twins.
Oh, no?
No.
Well, I wouldn't be too sure, pal.
I don't lie. I am your brother.
You got all the good stuff, and all I got was the crap left over. Danny DeVito killed that role. Arnold barely kept up.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so that's what's happening. So now we're learning there are two identical twins, one named Trisha, one named Bailey. They're both working maternity wards at different hospitals across this town in Oklahoma City, I'm assuming. Let's say that. And yeah, so now you're led to think, oh my gosh, are there two different babies? And indeed, yes, that is also the case.
So through this phone conversation, we learned that when Bailey was going to work and the baby was like really joyful and everybody was showing up to spend time with it, that was actually Trisha that was experiencing this baby that was bringing people joy. Bailey, for her, every day has been hell, going to work and having Rhett there.
Exactly.
But as the viewer, hopefully in this film, we do a good enough job making you think that it's all one person and a baby that keeps changing.
Right, but indeed it's not. We've got something truly evil with Rhett and something kind of magnificent going on with the other baby, who we have a name for as well, right?
We do, but before we get into the second act, I just want to put you on the spot. We said this is happening in Oklahoma City.
Oh.
Can you name any other city in Oklahoma?
Norman.
Bravo.
I did it.
Good. No one else was thinking that one.
Football. That's the only reason I know.
Well, you did better than I would have. Sherman? That's probably one.
Maybe. Oh my gosh.
All right, so Act 2, we know there's two different nurses, two different babies, and the Act 2 kind of begins in this phone call where they're talking to each other and learning about, we had a baby that was brought in right after the tornado. He's been in the NICU the whole time.
Yep.
We could say that his name is Donald.
Yep.
Who is the fourth person and was featured in this Beers Check-In born
this.
yesterday.
Yes, exactly right. So Donald's the name of this baby, and it's similar deal, I think. I mean, we haven't said this yet, but Donald's parents died in the tornado. Parentless Donald, in this world now, and
a lot of orphans in Oklahoma.
Right.
Tornado
Alley, rough stuff. Thank goodness Bailey and Trisha are there to help out, and so, right. So now we get to see kind of these parallel experiences that are still happening where. In Trisha's ward with Donald, the good baby, more people are visiting, maybe coming from like outside of the hospital. Someone's told their brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, best friend, and people are trying to sneak in with their phones to film people crying near Donald, walking again. My cancer's in remission. All this pretty amazing stuff that's going on.
One of the nuns that works in the hospital chapel is there like doing a blessing for him. Would you say she's a sexy nun?
Ooh, we could definitely have one of those cartwheel in with a pack of Marlboros hanging out of her her back pocket.
She's not wearing the nun hat. She's got a red handkerchief on her hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a hospital nun.
That's right. I've seen some stuff. Okay. Yeah, totally. So Donald's drawing quite the crowd. Meanwhile, Bailey is just kind of having an even rougher time. But Dottie's dead now, and more stuff keeps happening. Accidents at the hospital. Maybe they bring in an electrician to try to fix the elevator. And as Bailey's in there in the nursery with all the babies, starts to see what she saw on the camera in real life, the crib that has Rhett in it start going shaking a little bit, and she's like, what's going on? Is it the wheel? Is there an earthquake? Is it a tornado coming? But it's just Rhett's little crib shaking. As that's happening, the electrician is trying to fix the old elevator. He has to go under there and look at the brakes.
Is this going to be his last job?
That is going to be his last job. This elevator comes down one last time and splats this dude into the basement. And as that happens, this is unknown to Bailey because she's in the nursery, but the vibrating of Rhett's crib stops, and she's kind of like, that was really weird. And Rhett does a creepy baby smile. I'm also imagining in a lot of this movie, maybe we're not really seeing what Rhett looks like.
Yeah, he's swaddled.
Got the hat, maybe kind of always in a shadowy part of the room for some inexplicable reason.
There's like 6 babies in here now. They're all up front, and Rhett is in like the back corner
where the one light that's out in the nursery and it can never be fixed.
That one like barrel-aged barley wine that you just leave in the back.
Someday I'll get you. Someday when I'm feeling like I don't need to work tomorrow, I'll drink you. Yeah, exactly. So that's Rhett just hiding in the back in the dark, murdering people with elevators. So Bailey's having the worst time ever. Trisha's having a blast, feeling great. And so we'll kind of see this play out a little bit, right? And kind of see Rhett each time one of these things happens, some accident, some event. Maybe that also, as she's in there checking on him as elevator guys die, and she's like, my God, you gained 5 pounds in a day and you're 7 inches taller. Like, what is going on? Like, so Rhett's getting stronger and physically larger. And Donald's stronger too, but it shows up in a different way because he's not, he doesn't need to get larger to accomplish whatever goals
I think
he
the
has.
perception, hopefully, if you're watching this as it's a movie, you'd see that Donald is able to heal more. Like he's putting his energy into other people. So he's still in the NICU. Hasn't put on a couple of pounds. Certainly, still very actually small for a baby.
I like that.
Maybe he actually was born prematurely from this tornado and an accident. But yeah, the differences in even cinematically when you're viewing Rhett and Bailey in the hospital, the colors are kind of desaturated and the sounds are more ominous, and then you get over to Trisha and Donald in the hospital and it's more bright. There's always something wrong in the Bailey hospital, whether it's a nurse that couldn't show up, a car that wouldn't start, get him to work, the hospital kitchen doesn't have gas, so they have to feed everyone like microwave food and the whole hospital's angry about it. And I like the idea that you never really get to see Rhett straight on. He's always, you see his angle from the crib, and you see Bailey interact with him and sometimes just like walk away crying,
right?
For no apparent reason. Maybe even like when you're looking, you see the security guard reviewing his new fixed footage, and you see like what was that, Paranormal Activity sort of thing, where Bailey comes into the maternity ward and just stands in front of Rhett's crib, solemnly staring at him, and like you see the hours tick by.
Right, she's just kind of standing there. Ooh, that's good. That's pretty creepy.
Whereas
and Ned takes notice. It's like, what the heck? Chewing another sandwich.
She's really watching
What's
that
she
one.
Doing? What's happening
whereas
out
in
there?
Trisha's hospital, it's like our cancer rates we have the best in the country over the last week.
We're all going home early. There's no one in the cancer ward. It's been amazing. It's crazy. So right, exactly. It's polar opposite experiences. Poor Bailey.
Yeah.
Bailey really just in the wrong place.
No one that
time.
checks in a beer has gotten a really exceptionally good role in Beer Me That movie. But it's good. You don't have to actually live it. We'll make it up for you.
Yep.
So you can know, nope, don't go to nurse school. Unless your name's Trisha. So I think this is kind of building up to this Act 2. Tension is building between Rhett and Donald. You see them in their different lights or darkness, growing and going after their own separate goals. But I don't know if you've quite made the connection that they're mortal enemies yet.
Well, I wonder if maybe like one night, kind of, you're in the maternity ward and Rhett's doing his weird crib shaking thing and kind of vibrates it close enough to the window of the nursery, facing the window across town, and we get to see, like, I'm not going to say the clouds part and some light shine on the other hospital, but the other hospital there across town, maybe glowing slightly. And you can kind of, and Rhett make some exciting, creepy, grunty baby noises. Looking towards, looking towards this other hospital. So that, something where it's enough to know, like, okay, they're both opposites. Rhett is there and knows that this other Donald exists now. And maybe by those actions, like, that's what he wants to go. We can assume attack, destroy, whatever, this other creature that is its polar opposite, this other baby that is the polar opposite of Rhett, and is being drawn to it just like a magnet.
Ooh.
Those polar opposites, they're going to go after each other. It's only a matter of time, and Donald is kind of using his force for good, so really isn't getting stronger, where Rhett is just consuming death and chaos and becoming stronger because of that. So what do you got?
And I think that scene you point to where like the crib moves closer to the window and you as the viewer, you see the through shot to the other hospital and you hear Rhett. Right. So we know, okay, Rhett probably knows about Donald and doesn't love the fact that Donald's there existing.
Exactly.
And then maybe you see a scene where one of the nurses or a doctor comes up to, you don't know if it's Trisha or Bailey, but the doctor just comes up kind of out of nowhere and says like, are you aware of how much trouble your sister's in? And the nurse is like, what? No, what happened? And the doctor's just like, I'm going to go get lunch. Is everything okay here? And then he just walks away.
Ooh, yes.
So you get the idea that there might be a little bit of possession that can happen.
Exactly.
But also this would be a good prompt for the potential that Rhett has to kind of start to interfere with the world, not just as a baby. And that could lead to like another kind of inciting or bigger incident that takes us closer getting into the third act.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, exactly. I think this is a good point for something kind of wild and crazy to happen, for Rhett to try to make a move. And now that he's killed Dottie, killed the engineer guy, electrician dude, it's just kind of living off the general chaos and possessing that he's doing in the hospital, strong enough to kind of make his first attempt at going after Donald. And, we can kind of we can work through this, but like, he's probably also kind of figured out, maybe just overhearing, even though he's a baby, Bailey's conversation with her sister of, how's it at your hospital? How's that baby doing? Oh my gosh, people out the door to see him. That's amazing. So like, Rhett knows, and this is not explained, but we can kind of do some exposition here. Rhett kind of knows what signs to look for to find the reincarnation of baby Jesus. Like that, which is what's happening. Like Rhett knows, okay, probably a glowing building, people traveling a distance to see him. Maybe there's a star in the sky above it.
And I think he can directly read Bailey's thoughts.
That's good. Yeah.
Like he knows Bailey has a sister, and once Bailey finds out that her sister is working with this cancer curing baby, like assume that everything Bailey knows, Rhett knows as well.
Nice.
Maybe not right in the beginning, but once you see the doctor ask the question, then like, okay, he's not just able to knock down elevators, but now he's actually able to get into our heads, so he can probably get into mine. Which means he knows everything I've said to my sister.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is good. And I don't know if like, how we can do this next step, but I think both Bailey and Trisha kind of have to realize what's going on. And it could just be like they realize it through the just all the events that have happened up to this point, where Trisha has to be thinking like, oh my gosh, is this like this baby magical? Is this baby Jesus? Is this what am I dealing with here? This thing is supernatural and clearly benevolent and unlike anything I've ever encountered in my life. Meanwhile, Bailey is like, this thing is friggin' evil and was vibrating his crib the same time that poor electrician died, being crushed by the elevator. I don't know if it's too much, but she could like, the crib keeps ending up in that dark corner every time she moves it like the third time, and there's a 5-pointed star in the ground that's burned there underneath the crib.
Some kind of like
stuff like that, where she's like, what the heck?
Was this here before?
And trips over and falls down and then looks back and it's gone. So again, we'll do some classic possession movie stuff.
Yeah, this would be easier to put in the actual movie than to try and, I think, explain in the podcast. But hopefully you'll give us a little forgiveness and just understand that in the film, you're seeing the effects of Rhett and his ability to possess people and make Bailey have these sort of moments where she questions herself or like have standing waking nightmares.
Okay.
And I think the idea of Bailey and Trisha kind of getting together. Like they need to get together. Maybe we do it really on the nose and it's Sunday and they always go to church on Sunday where their parents went.
Right.
And then that's when like you hear a little bit of the sermon and the priest and the eternal battle between good and evil. And like they meet afterwards and like, oh my God, I have to talk to you and kind of
piece it together.
Convince each other.
Right.
Like, no, I think the baby you talk about, Donald, I think might be the reincarnation of Jesus. I don't know why they named him Donald, but, but, and Trisha's like, nah, he's like, it's cute that people think they're getting healed from him. But what we really need to talk about is your baby might be a demon.
Right. Exactly. Because there's nothing good gone into that hospital. You guys have been in the news for all the wrong reasons. And at this point, like Bailey's exhausted, bags under her eyes, hair disheveled. She looks 100 years old.
We have room in my ward. I can put in a transfer. You can come work it with me. And I think that maybe is a moment where Bailey's like, I can't walk away from
the other babies, the other little babies that are there in this room with potential demon. And so maybe they hatch a not great thought through plan of like, if I can get Rhett out of there for the other baby's sakes, like, and get him away, maybe we'll figure out what to do next. But that's kind of my step number one. And so maybe she attempts to try and do that, which Rhett was kind of assuming would happen. And he takes that moment to take his possession to the next level and sees it as a way of like, if I can strike through Bailey, who's connected to her twin Trisha, then I can possess Trisha remotely and crush Donald in his sleep. Because Rhett's pretty confident. Demon baby. This is plan number one. He's finally strong enough to do some kind of...
He's a prince of darkness.
Yeah, like some linked possession here. So that's the move. As Bailey reaches in the crib to be like, all right, Rhett, I'm going to throw you down the laundry chute or whatever.
Another pillow smothering. Happens more often than we like to admit, but
yep. But
I like this idea.
Yeah, that's the attempt. And but Rhett takes advantage of it, grabs Bailey, does whatever demon thing he needs to do, and immediately she's paralyzed and feels like the life is getting sucked out of her. At the same time, across town, Trisha's in the same room as Donald. She freezes, immediately clearly under possession control, starts to robotically walk towards Donald's crib.
He's like, Rhett is like IP spoofing or like hiding his phone address. He's like jumping into Bailey so that he can jump across the town into Trisha is what he's trying to do. Okay.
Use that magical twin connection. And so obviously as the audience, you're like, holy guacamole, this little baby, what's it going to do? But it's a magical baby. And I think it can do essentially the same thing, maybe even more powerfully than Rhett can, where it uses that connection in reverse. And maybe because Trish and Bailey have the same cross necklace on, all he has to do is like we don't need to do all this in detail, but like essentially what happens is Trish is able to grab her necklace before she grabs Donald, and that changes the whole trajectory of the evil power, blows it back on Rhett through Bailey, Rhett rather, and the whole possession is broken. So this remote attempt is thwarted by Donald, who is also again kind of becoming more aware and more powerful. But this and Trish comes out of it. Oh my gosh! Bailey comes out of it. What was happening? What the heck did this baby do to me? Oh my God! But both babies like are horribly affected by this and like flatline.
Yes,
immediately.
Like Trisha comes out of it. If you were watching Trisha, you would see her approaching with the intent to kill Donald.
Yes.
And then she comes out of it hearing the like beep.
Exactly. And other nurses rushing in.
Sets in.
Yep. This is good. Same thing happens with Bailey. She's kind of in a daze on the ground, hearing the flatlining in Rhett's little crib. And it's like, oh my gosh, maybe this will take care of itself. Nope. 2 doctors rush in because all they hear is a baby dying and like save Rhett. But both Rhett and Donald are on life support in their own hospitals for a few days.
I like this, but I want to introduce a subtle change just because it's who I am.
Let's go.
The doctors come in to save Rhett
Okay.
and help pick up Bailey.
Yes.
And as they go to save Rhett, one of the doctor, like, he's not hooked up to a NICU or anything.
Right.
He just like he looks like he's choking on his tongue.
Perfect.
So the doctor goes to stick his finger in his mouth and clear the airway. Rhett doesn't have any teeth yet, but bites down rather sharply. The doctor yanks his finger back, falls, hits his head on another crib, cracks his head open, blood's leaking on the floor. Rhett kind of smiles and then just closes his eyes, and you see him like curl up and go to sleep.
Okay.
But for all intents and purposes, heart's beating, he's breathing. He just goes to sleep after this doctor probably dies. So there's a lot of bodies on Rhett already, but so Donald goes into actual life support, can't breathe on his own, heart's not beating, he's hooked up to 100 machines. Rhett goes about it a different way.
Right. Doesn't kill him, but still struck down or, weakened by this event, but is also still a furious little demon baby who's maybe like getting bigger, maybe slightly changing color at this point. Again, we're not going to see this stuff as the audience much. But this is good. And so, right. So now Donald's kind of out for the count for a little bit. Chris is in shock, really has no idea what's happened. Same with Bailey. Rhett's also like at least asleep for now, which gives kind of Bailey and Trisha time to maybe call each other, be like, oh my God, you never believe what happened. Oh my gosh, it happened over here as well. I thought I saw you when I was kind of transfixed in this possession state, trying to go to Donald's crib. Yes, I was. I couldn't stop myself, but I knew in my head all I kept hearing was smother him, and I couldn't stop my body from.
It's like I was watching it happen.
Right, exactly. So they're both like, holy crap, this is crazy. Clearly, my baby wants to kill your baby, and they're using us to do it. Like, what the heck do we do?
Typical maternity ward.
That's another Tuesday in Oklahoma, everybody.
Yeah, and Donald's on life support. What happened? I don't know. Rhett went to sleep. I've never actually seen him sleep before, but he slept through the rest of his shift, and then I went in the next day, and he slept through his whole shift, like no incidents. The elevator was working. It was really peaceful.
Right. I imagine at this point they're also like their plan again. It's not fully formed, but it's like we got to get Rhett out of here. Probably have to dispose of this baby, but how do you kill a demon? They don't have answers there. But the first step of like, I gotta get this baby out of here is probably still in play. And I would imagine because of that, like Bailey feels like she has to almost stand guard. And that's tough to do. She's working doubles. She's already exhausted. Maybe she's like, like nodding off on day 2 as Rhett's still been like asleep for a day. Now that's kind of weird. Doctor checking on him. Vitals seem fine. Sometimes babies sleep. You know this, Bailey. You've been here for a while. It's lucky when we're asleep. Ha ha ha. Everything's great. Let the baby rest. So that maybe writing it off a little bit. You should get some rest too. And she's like, all right, fine. Goes and lays down for, an hour or two. And of course, all Rhett's waiting for is opportunity. The demon, Satan's got all the time in the universe. All he needs is one chance. One shot at Donald. That he's holding out for. He can easily pretend to be asleep for a couple days. And so I'm seeing something like that where she goes and lays down for a little bit because she has to. And that moment Rhett comes back, another doctor comes in to check on his vitals, and bam. So now in Rhett's mind, it's like, hey, try the remote possession. That didn't work. I got to get me a human that can take me to Donald directly. I got to be in the same room as this other baby. Take it down.
I'll do it myself. Grabs. I love that. So he takes Trisha's. Bailey is sleeping.
Yes.
Taking a little shift nap, and the doctor comes in to check, and Rhett jumps into the doctor.
Exactly.
Forcing him to comply.
Yep. Possessing the doctor.
Picks up Rhett.
Yes.
He's a doctor. You can do whatever you want in a hospital with a white coat on.
Exactly right. It's amazing.
Just grabs
running
Rhett
around with babies.
And you see him start walking towards the exit of the hospital that Bailey usually uses when she leaves work. Maybe we go then straight to Trisha. Maybe we transfer over to Trisha.
And I think at this point, to quickly interject, we can hear like maybe she's also nodding off in her ward and is awoken to the local news of, well, folks, I know what just happened, but here comes, it's that time of year. We got another potential tornado landing in town, just outside of town right now. We're keeping an eye on it. So there's a little hustle and bustle in the hospital because another tornado is coming their way.
Tornado watch.
Yes.
Means we're expecting them. Tornado warning means they're happening. So they get put under a tornado watch.
Yeah.
Up the ante a little bit.
Exactly. I like that.
She wakes up, and I think, this is my favorite part of the whole idea, is that it's now been formally 3 days since baby Donald was put on life support. And around that moment when the tornado watch wakes up, Trisha is the 3-day mark, and baby Donald comes out of it and seems to be doing just fine. They can remove all the life support. He's breathing.
It's a miracle.
Little tie-in for any of you that had to go to Catholic school.
Remembered Sunday school. I love this. And of course, Trisha's, again, ecstatic, excited. Oh my gosh, I got to call Bailey right away and let her know. Calls Bailey, ringing in her pocket. She's passed out in the closet on a bed. The vibration of her phone, the phone call from Trisha wakes her up, and she's in a daze, hasn't slept for days. Just hears the good news from Trisha. Donald's awake. He's okay. He's gonna make it. In fact, he's off all the tubes and the breathers and everything. I think he's bigger. He looks as healthy as he's ever looked since we got him here. And of course, in the initial moment, Bailey's like, "Oh, that's great news. That's awesome. That's so wonderful for you guys." And Trisha's like, "Are you okay? You sound like tired. You finally get a chance to take a nap." And then that's when Bailey things start clicking in her head of like, "Yeah, oh my gosh, that's right. I had to lay down for a second." And then she's like, "Oh my God, if Donald's able to be awake after that battle, that remote battle, then could Rhett be awake too?" And Trisha's like, "Oh my God." And Bailey runs out of the closet bed into the nursery, and sure enough, Rhett is gone, as is Dr. whatever his face. And that's probably what Bailey does. "Hey, where did Dr. So-and-so go?" "Oh yeah, he left, took his break, kind of shocking, a little surprising, just went out the back. I hadn't been back in a bit, but those doctors are, nurses are on the hospital."
His BMW 6 Series.
Peeled out, did a donut or 3, and then left
in the doctor lot,
the parking deck
where there's a space for donuts and drifting. Bailey has the wherewithal to check on that, and she's still on the phone with Trisha while this happens.
Ooh, and maybe she's like trying to talk to her, and it's as the news pops up in Bailey's hospital of like, "Folks, if you're experiencing intermittent cell service, you know the drill. The tornado's on the way, so head to your shelters now." And the alarm goes off, the tornado alarm. So Trisha's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't tell Bailey's like, I can't tell Trisha that Rhett's gone, the doctor's gone, a tornado's coming. They got to be heading towards Donald. What do I do?"
She's gonna have to get in the Sunfire, and
that's right.
She's gonna have to commute across town while this hurricane warning is now interfering with everything in town, and she's got to make the commute. Whereas Trisha, on the other end, she hears like, "Oh my God, yeah, I took a little nap at work." And Trisha's like, "All right, probably lost connection, tornado. I'll catch up with her after my shift. I'm just really glad Donald's around."
Right.
At which point, one of the other nurses, even older than Dottie, is like, "My gosh, I can't believe we're having another tornado already. The last time that happened, we ended up with this new baby." And I think that's enough to maybe make up, like, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm going in the wrong direction, but it gives Trisha enough thought to say like, oh
my gosh, the tornadoes, right? Maybe the tornadoes did it. Tornadoes might have something to do with it. Or at least get her to be like thinking like,
start to move things toward the basement again, right?
Exactly. And it's kind of just reaffirmed by the tornado warnings, the sirens, the older nurse being like, "What are you doing there, Trisha? We got to go. We got to get these babies downstairs. You know the drill." And Trisha's like, "Yes, right, of course." So right, starts moving everybody down to the basement. At the same time, Bailey is across town freaking out, and gets into her Pontiac Sunfire and right peels out.
It's blue.
Okay,
It's not red.
Nice, important, super. And so as this is happening, Dr. Evil shows up with Rhett swaddled in his arms, and it's kind of like, again, that's classic I'm a possessed guy stuff. Pushes over the nurse in reception.
The automatic door doesn't open for him.
Just opens it himself, bumping into people in the hallway. A possessed doctor on a mission carrying a creepy baby, and they're hustling their way up to like the maternity ward where it usually is. Kind of one of the downsides of being a baby and then possessing someone is maybe you're missing the obvious things of like a tornado alarm, people rushing to the basement. You're just locked in like the T-1000, kind of trying to find your target.
True. He probably doesn't even know the elevators are working here, so he takes the stairs.
Right. And so get to the maternity ward, and it's empty, and the doctor's kind of doing creepy possessed doctor stuff. Take me to them immediately. Where are they? To the one nurse left behind. Oh, they're in the basement where they always go. So lots of stuff's kind of going on at once. And again, I think this is when Bailey peels into the parking lot, pulls the e-brake, does an action roll out of the car, whatever she does.
Better burnout than the doctor did in his BMW 6 Series.
Because her tires are bald and they're very loud.
It just slides sideways. Bumps into an identical looking Chevy Cavalier.
Oh, that's Trisha's car. She's still here. So gets out, runs inside, and definitely. So possessed doctors upstairs, the top floor where the maternity ward usually is. But Trisha, and this could be a cool shot, kind of in the parking lot, sees the hospital in the distance, not too far though, sees the tornado coming, and she's like, they'll be in the basement, and heads right there.
Nice.
She has a chance to kind of head off the doctor and Rhett and try to get to Trisha first. And then we're leaning right into showdown time in the basement, chapel / maternity ward.
What a perfect movie this is becoming.
It's all happening.
So Bailey rushing in knows where to go because she talks to her sister. She's a good sister. She knows they're going to be in the basement, just like her other hospital
protocol.
So she's rushing down to the basement to check, and I mean, she might think, should I go up there and make sure they've gotten Donald? No, my sister would have gotten Donald.
And maybe there is a little more of kind of the twin tuition, we'll call it, happening.
Yes,
where she kind of knows where Trisha is.
Yep, she sees the maternity ward sign up there, and she's like, "No, I know she's got Donald down chapel. There."
Yep.
So she runs down to the basement maternity ward where there is conveniently a chapel.
Yes.
And there's like a couple, probably 2 other maternity nurses, but she finds Trisha taking care of Donald, like really just like sitting there and like maybe saying a prayer, Our Father, over Donald.
Yep.
And Bailey walks in and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're safe." And there's a reuniting, and they're down there, and they're like, she's like, "Pray with me." And as soon as you see Bailey's mouth, she's like, "Our Father."
Oh.
And then she like kind of freezes, right?
And at that moment, the doctor with Rhett swaddled in his arms steps into the doorway, and like just black darkness is behind him, swallows all the light in the hallway and the rest of the basement. The candles flicker in this kind of chapel makeshift NICU thing, and the darkness from the hallway just starts to creep in, and everyone in there is kind of frozen. They are with whatever they're doing, and now it's Rhett summoning all the strength he has through the doctor to kind of finally accomplish what he's set out to do, which is eliminate Donald from the universe with the aid of this evil doctor. And again, I think Trisha and Bailey are there, frozen though, unable to help, unable to do anything. And I think Rhett, being Satan, being an evil person, is like, yeah, I could go over there and squash Donald like a fly. But let's torture these two women that seem to care about this baby and have them do it. That was my original plan. No one put Satan in a corner. I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's have these two women kill this baby. And so he immediately possesses them as well. And they start to kind of like robotically, again, out of control, out of body experience, moving towards Donald's crib with their hands outstretched, ready to try to suffocate him. And then what should happen, John? This is going to be an epic beginning of a series of epic moments.
So we've gotten familiar with this where, you know, you're possessed and you're watching your body do this.
Yes.
And we see both of the twins, Bailey and Trisha, go to start smothering. And then we get a shot of kind of them looking face to face, and you can see on their face that this is all they do not want to happen. And you see on both of them, like one single tear start to roll out of the corner of their eye.
Yep.
At which point Donald reaches up and makes a sign of a cross. He says, Father, me, Holy Spirit. And he blesses the water in their tears enough to help break the spell for a moment and give Trisha and Bailey. What do? They don't know. They just reach and grab hands, forming a twin circle of protection around Donald.
Yes. I love that. So the tears saves the day, immediately holy watered, broken from Rhett's still admittedly not as strong as it could be possession, which of course throws Rhett probably into like a fury, and is just like, I'm gonna like maybe he knocks out the doctor that's holding him, who's kind of done his job at this point. But
instead of falling, he has wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I want
finally
exactly the swaddled baby. Maybe we see that too. A tail at one point sneaks out before
he was swaddled in his wings.
Right. There we go. So Rhett reveals his true form of this kind of smallish but pitch black, with a long tail with the forked end to it, bat-like wings, horns on his head. Rhett's finally revealed in this basement, and seeing that him obviously terrifies Trisha and Bailey. Maybe they stumble back. Also, meanwhile, there's a tornado happening, so it's like on top of them. The hospital's shaking. Things are falling off the walls. It's way more intense than this tornado that started the movie. Is Rhett causing this tornado? We'll leave that up to discussions later, possibly in the recap. But there's this tornado happening that's definitely closing in on the hospital, making all this more difficult. Trisha and Bailey wanted to stand still and keep that kind of protective circle around Donald, but they're getting thrown around by just the wind, the shaking, the vibrations, and can't do that, which gives Rhett kind of this perfect time to strike and finally do it. Forget doctors, forget possessions. I'm here. I'm strong enough. I have my wings. Haha. Donald, you're still stuck in this bubble. You weak little thing. I'm going to destroy you. And I'm seeing him almost like as Trisha falls back, maybe something falls on her, a bookcase, whatever. Bailey, similar deal. And it's just Donald and Rhett one-on-one. And then as the tornado really picks up and is almost right on top of the hospital, something crazy is going to happen, John.
Perfect setup. So the hospital begins crumbling. It's affecting the basement.
Absolutely.
And what I think would happen in the movie is one of the water pipes would break and start flooding the basement and spraying water everywhere.
Absolutely.
What I want to happen in Beer Me That Movie is in the far corner in the chapel, we see this sexy nun pull one of her Marlboros out and light it up and just blow the smoke up in the ceiling.
Yes.
And the sprinkler system starts going off. And she says, that one's for you, Donnie.
Yep.
And Donald in his NICU just kind of floats upright for a moment. Again, sign of the cross, Father, me, Holy Spirit. Blesses the filthy old sprinkler water.
Yes.
Which is now a holy water super soaker blasting Rhett.
Yes.
Where he's recoiled by this. It's holy water
steaming.
blessed by Donald himself. And I think at that point, Rhett just kind of tucks tail literally and zooms out with the hurricane that brought him in.
Exactly.
Tornado.
Yeah, exactly. I think, Satan's a bum. He doesn't lose. He just runs away.
Yeah.
So that's what happens here is he's tried every trick he kind of has in the short time he's been able to take some kind of physical form. Clearly it's not his day and retreats after being just smothered by this holy water that should kill him completely. So he has really no choice but to I got to get out of here. Flies into the tornado, and then almost as quickly as it shows up, it rushes off to the horizon and falls apart. The tornado does. And it's Trisha in the basement with Bailey, with Donald. Nurses come to their aid, firefighters, everyone's, digging out of the rubble, and they're all okay. Donald's there, safe. Trisha and Bailey saved the day.
And as you alluded to in the opening scene where Bailey grabs her cross necklace and the hurricane and the tornado subsides.
Yeah.
Again, we kind of have the same thing happening just on a much larger Ridley Scott sort of scale.
Exactly.
And I like the idea that later, we could hash out what happens immediately, but we've won the showdown. Donald is saved. Good triumphs. Maybe he's adopted by these two sisters and he has two moms that are sisters. That's a really weird story.
But
very befitting of a person like Donald, though.
Right, exactly.
Immaculate conception, perhaps. But then go into the future a little ways, and let's say Donald's in college.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Maybe he's on the college basketball team and they're doing warm-ups and stuff, and he's got his team with him, and he looks over at his friend just doing passes back and forth, and he's like, man, I don't know where I'd be without you. You're like my best friend, Judas.
Judas just smiles, a creepy Rhett-like smile that turns to smoke. That'd be fun. That'd be fun too. I like that. We can just end it like that. Perfect.
Set it up for a part 2 at least.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where his two sister moms are in the parking lot going, do you have the holy water? Yep. And they walk into the always and walk into to Donald's dorm. You never know when Rhett might be back. But that's it. We did it. Born yesterday, John. Turned into quite the epic interdimensional, or whatever we're going to call it. Supernatural. That's
cosmic,
what it is.
supernatural.
Showdown.
Tale as old as time.
Certainly.
Hopefully retold in a newish way.
Right. With babies and nuns and
tornadoes.
Dirty holy water.
True.
The best kind.
If you ever stumble across a sexy nun in your life, know that Harrison and I put her there.
That's right. Do whatever she says to do. That's good advice.
Until then, we'll see you in 1 week when we come back with our 20th Fast Five.
Ooh, all right. Until then,
peace,
punch,
and give me your
say
lunch.
your prayers.
Give me that holy water.
Yeah.